Hey, what's up? Let's talk about my 5-star reads of 2023 so far. I'm sure there'll be more. Hopefully. Oh god, I hope I didn't just jinx myself. If you're new here, my name's Elise. Welcome to my channel. If you're not new, what's up? Good to see you again. Thanks for stopping in. At the top of the year, I read Every Summer After by Carley Fortune. I read this during a reading vlog where I read all of my current reads. You can check it out if you want more in-depth reviews and ideas and thoughts about this book. I loved the dual timeline. I am a sucker for best friends to lovers. I have really been enjoying second chance romances lately too, so if you like those tropes, please let me know down below if you'd be interested in a recommendation video for those. Every Summer After follows Percy and Sam. They were best friends when they were younger, whenever Percy would go and live at the lake with her family during the summer, and then 12 years later they're no longer talking. It was very summer vibes, which is ironic because I read it in January, but it was excellent vibes. I loved the progression of their friendship and their relationship. I love the two of them together. I just enjoyed this book. The next book I borrowed from Libby, and that is The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp. I did not know what to expect. I did not anticipate loving this quite so much, but I did. I loved Nora, our main character. I loved how the story was told. It kind of hopped back and forth to different timelines. Nora's mom is a con artist, so Nora's mom kind of grooms Nora to become a con artist herself before she realizes what that really even means. And so Nora has all these different girls that she was for her mom during her mom's different marks in her life, and then there is a bank robbery, and so Nora has to kind of use what she's learned from all those other girls that she was in the past to get them out of the situation. It was really fast-paced. It was really interesting. I loved the characters and their dynamics together. I did not expect to love this, and I really did. More thoughts in that same reading vlog if you're interested in checking them out. Next, also from that same reading vlog, honestly you guys, that reading vlog was such a hit. I had so many good reads to top off the year, and that was Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. Maggie is a YouTuber who also flips houses, so she's literally in the videos flipping the houses and behind the scenes like editing and doing a bunch of stuff. She takes on this giant project in Idaho at a historical home and needs help, and Silas is her landscape designer, and he kind of like instantly falls in love with Maggie, or falls in lust with Maggie, and is like, I like her, I want to get to know her. And he's kind of very persistent, very funny, very golden retriever energy. I just love this book so much because even before I came to BookTube, I had a YouTube channel. I did it for quite a time, and I know what it's like to try to do the YouTube thing. It's a lot. And so we got to kind of see the behind the scenes of that with Maggie. I loved her personality. She's very no nonsense. I loved the found family of this book. Silas was just, he is one of my new book boyfriends for sure. I love the spice. I love the setting because, you know, they're working on this thing and then they have this really cute small town that they're in, but then there's also nature-y scenes. It was just a really good blend of a lot of things that I enjoy. Lucy Score nailed it. Next, we have an audiobook by Stephen Fry called Mythos, where it's kind of like this humorous retelling of Greek mythology. Stephen Fry did an excellent job of retelling these stories and adding humor into them to make them so interesting and fun, and like it kept the pace going. Stephen Fry is a comedian as well, and he does the narration for the audiobook, and he has this really delicious like British accent, and so it's just a really good blend of everything. I also am a Greek mythology fan. I love it so much. I highly recommend that book if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Greek mythology, but sometimes nonfiction or history just kind of like, you want to learn more but it just doesn't hit the same. Definitely try this audiobook. He does an excellent job and it was very fun. This next book I read in swapping screen time for reading time, and initially this was like a good solid 4.25, 4.5 star read, but I just keep thinking about this book all the time. It literally lives rent-free in my brain. I recommend it to so many people. I've read the sequel, and so because of those reasons, I have decided to bump it up to a 5-star read. And I'm not mad about it. When in Rome by Sarah Adams is a cozy romance. It is closed door without any spice. That just shows you how excellent of a writer Sarah Adams is, in my opinion, is because she has that tension. She has that slow burn and that build. But I was still so satisfied with the story without any spice. This follows Amelia Ray, who is also a pop singer who's just kind of hit her limit and she needs to get out before she does a grand world tour. She decides to go to Rome, Kentucky because Rome, Kentucky ends up being the closest Rome she can go to, and her car breaks down in Noah's yard. It's grumpy sunshine. Noah owns a pie shop. We love found family. I love the banter. Amelia is kind of a hot mess, but like an adorable hot mess, and I love it so much. I just really enjoyed this book, and it is now a 5-star read for me. The next book I listened to on audio, also during that swapping screen time for reading time, and that is Notes on an Execution by Danya Kukafka. This book was really out of my comfort zone. I normally don't go for like these literary mystery kind of suspense books. We are following a couple of points of views of 3 women who have had an impact on this man's life, and we find out immediately that this man has killed 3 women and he is currently on death row. Crazy stuff. So I was just like, at the start of this book, but then as I continued and as the story started slowly weaving together, it just got so good, and all of the different intricacies and how everyone is connected in a different way was so intriguing. Also, our main male protagonist fully believes in different realities. Is it the metaverse? I'm not sure, where you have like there are different versions of a life that you are currently living, and you're living all of the possible versions all at the same time in all different dimensions. So he firmly believes that his choices are better in a different dimension in a different time, so he truly is not a bad person. So it was really intriguing to see his point of view from that way, and him fully believing in himself as a good person after doing all of these things. If you want more thoughts as I'm listening to the book, definitely check out that blog. Next we have XOXO by Axie Oh. I love this book so much because if you're new to my channel or you didn't know, I used to live and teach English in South Korea for 3 years, from 2019 until the top of 2022. It was an incredible experience, very tough at times, but also wonderful, and I got to do so much traveling and experiencing South Korea. This book meant a lot to me because there were so many things in this book that I knew I had been there, I had done that and experienced it. So while the story and the writing itself was probably a 4-star read, adding on to like the experience and just like reliving all of those things, it bumped it up to a 5-star read for me because of nostalgia. XOXO follows Jenny, who is a cellist, a really excellent musician, but her mom has to go to South Korea to take care of her ailing mother, or Jenny's grandmother. Jenny decides to go with her and kind of enrolls in this music academy in South Korea, and so she's experiencing South Korea for the first time, so we get to see these things she's experiencing for the first time through her eyes, and that was really fun. But she accidentally runs into this very mysterious guy kind of just before moving to South Korea in LA. She has this like whirlwind night and then never hears back from him. She ends up running into him again at this music academy. Turns out he is an idol in a very famous K-pop band that has just really taken off recently. And as a fan of like BTS and Blackpink and 17, a lot of other K-pop bands like that, it was just so fun to like see in that way, like in fiction. If you enjoy learning about other cultures or like traveling, forbidden romance, if you like music, if you are interested in K-pop, I highly recommend this book. This next book I'm not going to talk much about because this was a reread for me. I love the Selection series. I was in a really bad reading slump towards the end of March, beginning of April, and it was rough, you guys. I really had to push myself to read books, and I shouldn't have done that. But this book really got me out of that. I love this series so much. It is a YA dystopian romance series where there are different casts and it kind of like affects where you are in society. There is a prince, he's coming of age, and he needs to get married, and he marries a commoner. America is a 5 in the caste system, and she ends up becoming one of the potential brides that Maxon dates, Maxon being the prince, on live television to find his princess. The next 5-star read in 2023 is The Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. What's really ironic is I don't love slow-paced books, but this was a slow-paced book and it blew my mind. I absolutely love this book so much. It's science fiction, kind of fantasy, where people live on the moon and on Earth in the future. There's also a time institution, and at this time institution, a scientist discovers an anomaly and sends another scientist, a man, to kind of travel around and interview these people who have interacted with this anomaly so she can figure out what's happening and how to prevent it in the future. It had different points of views, kind of different timelines as well, and she just wrote it in a way that left breadcrumbs for you. So you're like, okay, what's going on? And then breadcrumb. What's going on? Breadcrumb. Until the book was done and you're like, wait, what? It's done? The ending blew my mind. I feel like I should have seen it coming, but I didn't, and now that ending just really sealed the deal for me. I love this book so much. If you like science fiction, I highly recommend it. And now I want to read her backlist, and I hear Station 11, that is also like a movie or a TV show or something, has a connection with this, and so now I just like need to read Station 11. Next we have Two Wrongs Make a Right by Chloe Liese. This is a contemporary romance featuring Bea and Jamie. Bea's sister and Jamie's cousin or roommate or family friend get engaged. They kind of trick them into going on a blind date together, and they are pissed. So they want retaliation and they decide to fake date until everyone falls in love with them as a couple, and then break up and tear their hearts out. It's so fun. I loved the communication in this book. I love the representation in this book. Bea is like in her 30s, I believe. She's an artist. She has autism, and Jamie is also in his 30s, I believe, and he lives with like severe anxiety. It was really eye-opening and really helpful to understand that in real life. I feel like I have applied some of the things that I've learned from this book in my life, and I'm so grateful for that. I loved the spicy scenes in this because of the consent and the communication involved. Just the communication period, not just in spicy scenes, was excellent in this book, and I loved it for that. The banter is really funny. Also, these two at the beginning of the book, their meet cute is not cute. They do not get off on the right foot, and it is hysterical how that happened and like how they progress from that. I really enjoyed this book. It has a great mix of humor, of really sweet intimate moments, of communication, of consent, of representation. This book just has a lot of really good things in it, and I am so excited for the second book to come out this fall. Highly recommend. Next, I listened to The Measure by Nikki Erlick on audiobook. It's also narrated by Julia Whelan, and I love when Julia Whelan is the narrator. She is the best. This book was so interesting. It was another book that played with time and mortality. At the beginning of the book, people are getting boxes with a string in them. Scientists discover that the string is the measure of someone's life. A short string means a short life, a long string means a long life. But that's literally all that they know. They don't know how, they don't know when, they don't know the, like, in reference to what short life, you know? In reference to what long life. And it sends this world into tumultuous chaos. This string is affecting jobs, relationships, politics. Some people aren't even choosing to open their string, and that's causing its whole own chaos. It has multiple points of view, but at the end, everyone just connects in some way, shape, or form. I felt so connected to every single character, even though there were multiple points of view. And I can't say that for a lot of books that have multiple points of view, especially in one book. I feel like for series, you know, slowly I'll grow to like those characters, but this book, it's just a standalone, and I grew to love or like care for most of the main characters. The ending, Ugh, the ending got me. If you enjoy books that have to do with the question of mortality, of morality, it was also very political. I can't say I normally lean towards books with political plot lines where that's like the focus, but there was a lot of politics in this book and I still really enjoyed it. Next, we have another audiobook, and that is Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book follows our main female character who has kind of floated around a lot in life, and I think that is my number one first thing that got me to love this character is I myself have floated around a lot in life. So I really connected with the character in that way. She is just ready to set down roots. She's ready to make herself a better person, whatever that may be, however that may be. She just wants to be a better person for herself and for her future and for the world. And that starts with putting down roots, and that is in LA where her best friend is. They go out for the night to celebrate her being back, and that is where the timeline, like the plot lines, separate. And then we have two plot lines following this one pivotal night. Two very different things happen. What is so fascinating to me is that both plot lines, like both timelines or choices or whatever you want to call it, there are still some things, some key things that happened in both. But how it happened and how it was revealed happened in different ways based on the circumstances. And then there are definitely different things, different key things that happen in both as well. I was so nervous towards the end of this book because I was like, oh no, there's gonna be one plot line, like one timeline that I'm gonna love way and I'm gonna hate the other one so much. And I loved both of them. And I was so happy for our main female character. I was just so satisfied. Next we have A Man Called Oh by Fredrick Backman. This is my second Fredrick Backman book. I really enjoy his style of writing. A Man Called Oh follows this older gentleman. I think he's in his 60s or so, maybe his 70s, I'm not sure. He's just kind of had a lot happen at the beginning of the book. He lost his wife recently, who was his best friend, and he also was laid off from a job. Ove's a bit of a curmudgeon. He just does not get why things are the way they are now, and no one knows respect anymore, and no one works hard anymore. He is very set in his ways. And then a neighbor moves in who is a foreigner. She is of international birth and moves to this town and really shakes up Ove's life. Now, I will give you a trigger warning. This book does touch on suicide. So definitely check the triggers and decide whether or not this book is okay for you. After this neighbor moves in, Ove's life really changed. She's constantly asking him for help. She's constantly barging in on him and getting the neighbors to join in and do things, and then they start bothering Ove. And as I mentioned earlier, Ove decides that he does not want to continue his life, but every single time he gets interrupted. And so we get to see why and how he is interrupted and how those moments change his life and change his mind. That was just so beautiful to me. I loved the ending of this book. Very reminiscent of The Brilliant Life of Eudora Honeysett, which I adored, one of my favorite books of 2022. Next we have the Soulmate equation, which I'm not going to go too much into because I did a whole reading vlog on Christina Lauren books, and this was the first one. It's a reread for me. I absolutely adore it. Top of the top of my favorite books for sure. I just love the found family in this book. There's a good blend of like humor from the daughter, Jess's daughter. There is a good mix of banter, of communication. I love how the relationship progresses in this book. It feels really natural. River, our main male character, and Jess have great chemistry. They just make sense together, and I adore them, and I love this book so much. There's also baby spice in this book, like baby spice. The next book I listened to on audio, and that is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This is a rather short book, which I appreciated, that focuses on your destiny, your journey, making the most out of life and the small moments. At least that's how I took it. I guess that's one really great thing about this book, is that it has the ability and gives the readers the opportunity to interpret it in their own way. I feel like all books are kind of like that, but some books do it better than others, and this is one of those books. Our main male character gets a dream. He has treasure on his horizon if only he does these steps. So he goes, he has to journey to a faraway land to find his treasure. So ensues this journey of our main character kind of leaving the life he knows and going on this very long journey that he did not think it was going to be this long. He really did not plan for or expect several of the things that happened to him, but he learns and grows so much as he's going. He learns to adapt, he meets new people, and then there's also like the secret of alchemy or something like that. I guess the takeaway for me about alchemy is like paying attention to the world. So like take the moment to step back and examine your life. Is this what you want? If it is, great. How can we make it even better? If it's not what you want, how can we change the direction of your life and make it what you want? It's not going to be easy. There are different steps. There are different choices that you have to make along the way. And I just loved that. This book made me think. It gave me a new lens with which to examine the world. And I love that so much. I feel like it gave me like a little tool to put in my toolkit, you know, on those days where it's just not enough. Let me take out my lens and examine my life. So I just really loved that. I really love the takeaways of this story. I love the language that was used. I loved it. The next 5-star read for me this year was The Bodyguard by Katherine Center. This is my first book by Katherine Center, and oh my gosh, it was the perfect lightheartedness. Our character went through a lot of growth and self-reflection during this book, which is one of my favorite things in a book. There's a lot of humor. Jack has golden retriever energy for sure. I think I like a golden retriever love interest. We're gonna have to dive into that a little bit. This book follows Hannah and Jack. Hannah is a executive protection agent. Not a bodyguard, but kind of a bodyguard. They kind of make a big deal about it not being a bodyguard. It's different, which I'm sure it is, but that is lost on me. So she gets tasked with being Jack's executive protection agent, but his mom has cancer or is very ill, and he doesn't want his mom knowing and worrying that he needs a bodyguard or protection. So he asks Hannah to pretend to be his girlfriend. We have banter. We have character growth. We have humor. Jack is hilarious. We have forced proximity. We have kind of found family a little bit, and then at the end there is this scene that is like, you did not see it coming, and it left me shook, but I was also very satisfied with how it ended. A little bit of action in there. It was just a lot of things that I really enjoy in a book. This is also kind of closed door, or I don't even think there's really any spice, but I was still so satisfied with this book, and so it's a 5-star read for me. The next book was an audiobook that I listened to, and that is A Proposal They Can't Refuse by Natalie Cana. This book was so fun! We have two families, a family from Puerto Rico and a family from Ireland, or originating from Puerto Rico and Ireland, living in Chicago, and their grandfathers or their abuelos are like best friends. The Irish grandfather kind of gets this news that he is ill, and so they kind of start what's the word I'm looking for? Where they start messing with people's lives. I can't think of the words. They start pulling strings and decide that if their grandchildren want to inherit the restaurant from the Puerto Rican family and the whiskey distillery from the Irish family, they have to get married. So they're like, okay, let us at least just get engaged for a time, and then we'll see how it goes. And then the family finds out about it. And so things just kind of snowball from there. We get to see a lot of different family dynamics. We get to see really strong relationship. And our main male and our main female character used to be best friends, kind of fell apart, and he just kind of like pulled away from her, so she thinks that he hates her, and then so we get to see that kind of being repaired. It's grumpy sunshine. He is a grump for sure, and she is like sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies. There were times where our main female character's family was really a lot, and it was starting to annoy me, and then things smoothed out a little bit, and I was like, okay, and I saw growth from that as well, which I really appreciated, because sometimes I feel like, you know, when families fight or are really pushy, that's it. That we don't see any resolution to that. But in this story, we did see some resolution to the family, like kind of owning up for being pushy and things like that with their daughter, and I really appreciated that. The next two books have to do with dragons. So the first one is Dragon Heist by Alexander C. Kane. I think right now it's only available on audiobook via Audible. Definitely consider the audiobook though, because the narrator does such a fantastic job. This book is set in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and we have a child actress all grown up. I think she's in her 30s now, which I appreciated as I come closer to being 30. She is just kind of snarky. She's not nice. She knows this about herself. Her life is going nowhere because of the dragons. In this world, 1,000 years ago, before 1,000 years ago, dragons used to kind of rule the world, and then they went into this slumber for 1,000 years. Well, that 1,000 years ended pretty much as she was coming up in her career as a child actress, and the dragons ruined that because they took over everything. A random dragon shows up in her town, which is not common because they usually stick to the cities. Come to find out, this dragon is being hunted. They want to get rid of him, but he has a scheme. He has a plan to get a group of people together to help raid and steal treasure from one of the nearby dragon clans. So ensues this journey of our main female character, Birdie, and Jim the dragon, and talks with like this strong southern accent, and he is just full of jokes and funny things. Like, this book is just like goofy, stupid, dumb, but it knows that, and it like plays with that, and it was so funny. Oh my gosh, I can't remember laughing this much while reading a book in a long time. It's very reminiscent of the audiobook called 10 Steps to Defeat a Demon King. Very reminiscent of that. Also a 5-star read for me. So it's just like so goofy. But we follow Birdie and Jim as they slowly collect like this weird crew of people with different skills and personalities. I really loved all of the character. I love the found family aspect. The humor was perfect. I loved the ending of the story. Towards that like third act conflict, I was so stressed because I was just so invested in all of our characters. Please listen to this book. It is so dumb. It is so fun. It is perfection. Okay, our last book. I finally read Fourth Wing. I'm only a few months late to the party. Well done, Rebecca Yarros. I have not been this invested in a fantasy novel since ACOTAR. Fourth Wing follows our main female character, Violet, who wants to be a scribe. When you come of age, you can be a scribe, go to the military, be a dragon rider, or a healer. She wants to be a scribe. She trained all her life to be one. Then she comes of age and her mom throws her into the dragon rider school and says, survive. It's very dangerous. Like, not even half of the people who go in end up coming out. And her mom wants her to do this while Violet suffers from weak ligaments. I'm not sure the exact term. Things just are a lot more painful. She can get injured more easily. Her joints can pop out and break a lot more easily. So we follow Violet on this journey of kind of getting into the dragon school, going through all of these different trials. Violet's very smart, pretty witty. I love the banter, the found family. It was very action-packed, very fast-paced, and there is a subplot of romance which I really enjoyed. It's kind of enemies to lover situation, so that was very interesting to see how that played out. I love the world building. I am very excited for the second book to come out because I just want to see where this is going. There were a few things at the end that I guessed and a few that I didn't guess, so that was very nice to have that like blend of like, oh, I feel satisfied because I was kind of correct, but oh, there are still a few things that I didn't guess and didn't see coming. It's very fun also to see, like, because I saw a lot of fan art, so it's kind of fun to like understand the context of that fan art now. Fourth Wing, y'all! It lived up to the hype. I was so nervous to read this, and it hit those expectations. Can you see? I took this with my family camping, so it got a little beat up. Here are my 5-star reads and some more that I have had so far in 2023. If you've read any of these books, I would love to know what you rated them as well. I'll try and put like a comment with all of the books, and then like you can put like your star rating, or if it's on your TBR, like you don't want to read it or whatever. I would be really interested to know your thoughts and how you rated these books too. If you made it this far and you're not subscribed, you might as well join the family. We would love to have you join us and this bookish community. Time to stop talking about books. I just get so excited talking about books. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. I love you. I hope you're doing well. Sending you good vibes, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.